So I just want to start by saying greetings to everyone wherever you are. I think we've got actually, if everyone shows up that are registered over 50 people, we'll have the region pretty well covered geographically and representational. So that's great news for us. And so I see the number of participants is growing. Um, I wanted to try to do a few different things because in most of these webinars we have uh, a lot of PowerPoint presentation and so forth, and that's kind of gets a little boring after a while. And so I thought we'd try a few new innovations today in a couple of ways. And we've got some videos that we can show about participatory budgeting in Europe and in Poland and so forth that I think will be interesting for you, and it'll be a bit of a different point of view of how things are looking in terms of participatory budgeting here in the European region and so forth. Uh, so we will get to one of those in a minute. But the other thing I wanted to bring out is often we don't know really when people in the webinar, are you watching? Are you listening? Or maybe you're dozing off or something. So what I wanted to do is just give you some test questions. And for those who were listening and watching the presentations, if you hear if you hear an answer to the question, you can put it in the chat. Or at the end, we'll call on some people and ask them, well, what was the answer to this question? So we'll start off with a first video on participatory budgeting in Europe. And the questions I have for you here, is in terms of them, in the video, what country in Europe implements participatory budgeting at the national level? Most of the time we're thinking at the local level, but there's one that's doing it at the national level. So what country is that? Second question is what country has adopted or does the most public participatory budgeting activities? And the third question is how many of those activities does this country do? You'll see some figures and some data. And then what are the regional disparities in terms of participatory budgeting? There's some differences across Europe as to how it's being viewed and how it's being implemented and adopted. So look for that in the video. And finally, it will discuss the problems and challenges of implementing participatory budgeting in various cultural situations in some sense. So listen for those answers to those questions, and that will give you a good idea of what the video is about. So if Marina can start their screen sharing of that video, then we'll take a look at that. I think you'll find it pretty interesting.
Budget and vote on local projects to be funded by local resources. Well, in some European cities and towns, this process, called participatory budgeting, is already reality. Other cities are starting to explore this democratic process, and some are not yet implementing it. Over the past 2 years, Euractiv has traveled to several European cities to have a closer look at participatory budgeting exercises, their benefits and challenges, as well as the participatory culture where this tool is not yet used. Let's have a look at what we found out. Participatory budgeting is a growing democratic tool used to allow citizens to have a voice and directly influence a part of municipal spending. While some countries, like Portugal, are also implementing it at the national level, it is more common at the local level. There are over 4,500 cases in Europe, according to the Participatory Budgeting Atlas. Of these, the highest number can be found in Poland, where national law requires city councils to carry out participatory budgeting since 2018. The city of Wrocław is one of these. Here, the participatory budget grew considerably, going from 400,000 euros to 6.6 million euros over a few years. Today, around 80,000 people are involved in the process. But the national law is not welcomed by everyone. According to some experts, it makes rules sometimes too strict, limiting the effectiveness of the process. Other countries, like Romania, Scotland, the Netherlands, and Ireland, have started to look at participatory budgets, but only a few cities have put them in place. For instance, Romania has less than 20 participatory budgeting processes, including 2 in the city of Cluj-Napoca. One is reserved to young citizens, while the other is open to all citizens. An interesting case is Ireland, a country with several deliberative processes in place, such as citizens' assemblies, but which has so far only one experience of participatory budgeting in South Dublin County. In countries like Cyprus, participatory budgets are not yet in use, and the overall public participation remains low. This is often due to low levels of trust between citizens and political institutions. Meanwhile, in the Greek city of Thessaloniki, despite a traditionally high citizen mobilization, inhabitants remain hesitant to participate through institutional channels. Differences in the use and views of participatory budgeting are also reflected in citizens' awareness of the tool across Europe. While the Polish inhabitants of Wrocław are more aware of the participatory budgeting process in their city, residents in the Cypriot town of Limassol and Thessaloniki are not yet aware of what participatory budgeting is. At the same time, when asked by Euractiv, they said they would be interested in taking part in the process and weigh in on municipal spending. In their view, mobilizing citizens and allowing them to share their knowledge could increase transparency and trust. But they have concerns about politicians backing this democratic process and sharing their decision-making power with citizens. As participatory processes gain traction at different levels of government, including the EU level, participatory budgeting has a good chance to expand even more across Europe. It remains to be seen whether more citizens will take part in the process and if politicians will be willing to trust citizens with budgetary decisions.
Well, how many of you got answers to those questions? Pretty much all of them. I thought it was pretty interesting about Portugal. I hadn't heard that and don't really know what that process is. So we'll learn a bit more about that and with regard to other countries in the regions as well. Anyone have any questions, comments about that? Anything you didn't was new to you?
I think I was expecting to hear about Switzerland as having a lot of participatory processes, having in mind their reputation and their tradition with the referendum.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, the geographical distribution that they showed of those countries that have not done participatory budgeting and so forth. So there's quite a difference in terms of that. I thought that's one of the interesting things. Okay, as one of the main points of that video was Poland, and we'll take a good look at the Polish process because it's pretty interesting as to what is developed there. So if Adam is online and ready to share his presentation, let's go ahead. Adam, are you there?
Yeah. Hi, hello. And I try to share my screen. I hope that it will be possible. Could you see the presentation?
Yes, looks fine. Looks fine.
Okay. Let's me. Oh. Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. And it switched to another slide. Yeah? Or no?
We have the title slide now.
Only title slide.
Yeah.
So it's something wrong.
Yeah.
Once again, sorry. And now?
Yeah, that's good now.
Yeah.
We're on the
Okay.
second slide. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So thank you very much for invitation me to this meeting. I'm Adam from the University of Economics in Katowice, south of Poland. And I would like to shortly tell you about the evolution of participatory budgeting in Poland. I think that when we have this evolution path, we have several points or steps. In 2011, it was the beginning. So it was the first participatory budgeting in Poland. This first participatory budgeting is considered to be a program created in the city of Sopot in the north of Poland. The initiators were informal group of residents, and the city council accepted this proposal, and the residents could submit proposals of the projects, which would be verified by officials, and then these officials selected the projects, and after that it was a voting for the project. I think that in the beginning it was a not big interest of residents, but year after year it was more and more cities which implemented participatory budgeting in Poland. In 2013 it was 8 cities. In 2014 it was 48 cities. We should remember that in this year were the local government elections in Poland, so the participatory budgeting was the part of electoral offer of many candidates for city mayors. In 2015, participatory budgeting was implemented in 80 cities. And in 2018, our national government decided to make the principles of participatory budgeting officially in a municipal government act. And it was a big change. I will talk about earlier. And now it's a switch to something which could be titled a new form of not participatory budgeting, but participatory governance. At the beginning, initial motivations, from my opinion, for creating participatory budgeting in Poland was increased awareness of residents. So a lot of people, rather informal urban communities, try to gather, make some things which is called urban movements, try to lobby for residents, I don't know, law. So they also advocate for implementation, so-called right to the city idea. So local governments, hearing this voice, try to implement the participatory budgeting. Another thing is, as I said, participatory budgeting is a tool or is a part of election promise made by candidates for the city mayors, especially at the beginning of the process. So in 2014, there were local government election and the peak of the number of emerging participatory budgeting in Poland. And the last but not least motivation is, in my opinion, desire to implement a solution which is popular in the world. Yeah, so we have a trend to participatory budgeting based on Porto Alegre models and so on and so on. And as I said, in 2018, national government decided to make some regulations, official regulations of participatory budgeting in Poland. Because before this data, all the cities make their own models of participatory budgeting. So when we observe different cities in Poland, we could see the different models, different scope of participatory budgeting. But in January 2018, national government decided that participatory budgeting will be obligatory for cities, let's say rather big cities, which have so-called in Poland country rights. And in this kind of cities, it's about 66 cities, I think, in Poland. The creation of participatory budgeting is mandatory. In Polish law, participatory budgeting is treated as a kind of public consultation, yeah? And in the Polish law, according this Municipal Government Act, citizens decided on the portion of the municipality budget expenditures through voting. And it's a problem actually because former models in some cities are models which is mainly based on debates, discussions, and not voting. For instance, I can show you the example of the city of Dąbrowa Górnicza, where after several editions of participatory budgeting, they decided that voting is not a good idea. It's better to discuss, make some citizens forums, and step by step decided about the projects. But now the cities are obliged to make voting because it's in the law. And what else? The amount allocated to participatory budgeting is at least only 1.5% of the municipality expenditures. So it's not usually not a big sum of money. Most of cities decided to have this kind of the amount, maybe some more, but not so big different. And what is interesting in Poland also, in my opinion, that participatory budgeting is a very transparent. So if you could see city by city the participatory budgeting models, you are able to analyze this because everything is in the websites, everything is in reports, documents, and so on. We also have on the national level, the Institute of Urban and Regional Development makes so-called participatory budgeting barometer every year. So you can see in the national level what is what's going on in the participatory budgeting. Now, in the latest editions from 2022, participatory budgeting were implemented in 43% of cities with more than 5,000 residents in Poland. So it's a rather a big number, I think. But also we can see that 22 cities discontinued the participatory budgeting programs, including 6 out of 66 cities with county rights, which is mandatory. What's going on? In 2022, we had in Poland the law which is connected with assisting Ukrainian residents. I mean that in Poland, local governments spent a lot of efforts and money in 2022 to help Ukrainian refugees, yeah? And in Polish law, we decided that cities which would like to stop for 2 years, 2022, 2024, so 3 years, stop with participatory budgeting because they are wanting to focus on another priorities. They could do this, and some cities stop the participatory budgeting because of that. What else? We can see that the average voter turnout in 2022 was about 11%, so it's not a big amount. So we can see that rather few residents in cities, through a few percent of residents are interested in participatory budgeting. So it's a challenge. I can see the evolution that in the beginning there was a lot of projects which was infrastructural projects. So I mean making some roads, some buildings, this kind of tasks. Now we have more and more so-called soft projects, social projects, which is connected with organizing events, help for young people, help for people who are marginalized, and so on and so on. And as I said, because of this Polish law, now we can ask the question if the participatory budgeting should go into a deliberative approach or just a plebiscitary approach. Yeah. In the city of Dąbrowa Górnicza, which is close to the Katowice, where is my university. Actually, I'm a resident of this city. We have now two participatory budgeting. Why? Because before this law, which is obligatory, Dąbrowa Górnicza was a leader to make innovation in participatory budgeting. And after each edition, they make assessment, and after each edition, they change the model. And they started with the traditional model with voting. Now they finished with the model which is called 2.2, where there is no voting. People at the beginning start diagnosis and idea collection in the district level. Then in the meetings, try to transforming ideas into projects. And in the last step, during the residents forum, they try to create and agree to the package of priority tasks for implementation in the district, because participatory budgeting is on the district level in the city. But it's the original model. This model based on the law, I called civic budgeting, because in Poland we can talk about participatory budgeting, in Polish budżet partycypacyjny, but in the law it's called civic budgeting, so in Polish budżet obywatelski. And of course, Dąbrowa Górnicza is obliged to make this so-called civic budgeting. So it's compliant with the law. It's citywide with a lower budget than participatory budgeting. We have just electronic voting and project ranking, yeah, and people decide in this way which projects and could or will be done in the future. As I said, in my opinion, we have still development of participatory budgeting. We can see that not in all regions, but in several regions in Poland, we have also participatory budgeting on regional level. I live in Katowice, so it's the Silesia, and we have here in the Silesia the regional participatory budgeting. In some cities, we have also so-called green participatory budgeting. So budgeting which is focusing on green economy and green transition. But we also have a lot of initiative on the micro level with young people. So you can observe a lot of so-called school participatory budgeting. So young people in Poland learn democracy using this kind of tool. But I would like to say that we have also a tool which is called the local initiative. It's a tool of participation that engages the local community not only in the decision making, but also in the action. And I think is a good tool, maybe better than participatory budgeting, because when you are active residents, for instance, you and your neighbors would like to establish community garden, you can go to the city and ask for the money for this kind of local initiatives. And the city could say, okay, we can give you 1,000 zlotys, but you do this project. It's not a problem of the city, but you should make this initiative, yeah. And after
Adam,
that,
excuse me, but in interest of time, we need to speed up a little bit if you could
Okay.
come to the end.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I would like to only say that we could see that we could go towards a new form of participatory governance based on local initiatives and so-called urban commons concept. And the last thing, conclusions, I can see the three, let's say, challenges of participatory budgeting in Poland. So first, participatory budgeting is in Poland seen more as a social innovation rather than a financial innovation. This means that its goals are rather social inclusion, reducing social inequalities, and so on. Another thing is ensuring that we have a sustainable and resilient participatory budgeting. This means that participatory budgeting must continuously evolve and adapt to changing conditions, and maintaining interest in this tool that residents that don't feel discouraged and see the value of this action. And the last, I think the local context matters. So this means that considering the diversity between cities as well between districts within cities, and most importantly, rely on the local potential of residents. This makes that it is necessary to develop a model of participatory budgeting tailored to the needs of the specific local communities, not only on the national law, as I said. Yeah. So that's all. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, Adam, thank you very much for that. That's given us a good overview of Poland. I think what we'll do in the interest of time is to skip a couple of presentations that were videos and get on to the presentation from Matthias San in Budapest. And if he is online, available, and start sharing his screen, that would be fine. But please, Matthias, we have just about 15 minutes or so you'll have to be very quick and through your presentation. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Okay, I'm trying to share. Sorry, I'm not really using Zoom usually, but I hope.
Okay, there you are. Good.
Can you see it?
Yes.
So, thank you. Unfortunately, I will not be as interesting as Adam from Poland because I think we are lagging behind a couple of years, but I tell you the story of Budapest. So to start with, as you probably know, Budapest has 23 districts, and each district is an independent government or independent municipality, and they are free to run PB programs or not, and quite a few of them do it. And we don't have any national legislation on participatory budgeting. So any municipality is free to do whatever they like or free to experiment. So they are all different. And we have our system from the City Hall of Budapest, the capital, for 4 years now. So this autumn, it will be the start of the 5th period. Just the basic information, we have 2.5 million euros. The target area is the entire area of Budapest, and there is no budget distribution.
Sorry, Matthias, your slides are not moving.
Okay.
So you should move it on the left.
How should I move it? guess it's moving now when it's not projected.
Exactly.
So should it be like this? Can you see it like this? Because it seems that if I project it, is it moving right now? Because I move it.
No,
You are on
not
the
right
second
now.
slide.
Okay. So it seems to me. Okay, sorry. I think I will then continue like this because it's moving this way, right?
Yes.
So you can see now the basic information. Okay, I don't know why this is happening. So yeah, the basic information. So it's the entire area of Budapest, no budget distribution for districts. And ideas can be submitted with a location or without a location. And anyone is eligible above the age of 14 who lives, works, or studies in Budapest. And it is just self-declared, so you don't need any proof. And it mainly goes online on the website. So the basic numbers, the number of submitted ideas is around 600 or 700 each year. And the number of voters is increasing. As you see, last year it was 25,000 people. So the process, I guess it's more or less the usual process. There's a few months, now 1.5 months for submitting ideas. There is an approval or appraisal phase, which is quite long. I will talk about it. And it includes development of ideas. And we used to have a phase where we reduced the number of ideas to a smaller number, which would be fitting the voting period. So we reduced the number of ideas to 50, and people could vote on these 50 ideas. We actually didn't find it very good or effective, so we skipped this phase. Now people can vote on all the ideas. I will talk about this as well. I will try to give you a lot of information in a short time, so you can ask afterwards. So what are the criteria? It shouldn't affect private property or state property. It should create something new. So it's not only renovation or maintenance, or not only regulation and not only campaigns, but it should be something new. And it cannot be like an allowance or money given directly to individual people. And those ideas that alter a certain place of the city should have a location. So it was a problem. We had ideas like, let's make the city greener, let's plant trees, let's have more public toilets. And these ideas were really popular because people could fantasize it for their own neighborhood. So we had to give it a rule. We had to make a rule that it should have a location. So first we had, yes, I wanted to tell you in the beginning that, as we don't have a national legislation, but in Budapest we have a local municipal regulation decree to maintain participatory budgeting. But of course, we keep changing the model as we heard it from Poland. So, for instance, a good example for the changes that we have categories, because we would like to have different ideas, not only green ideas or not only toilets, but different ideas. So we try to give like categories, and these three come from the strategy of the city. So there are green Budapest ideas, caring, like social ideas, and open ideas like democracy and community and stuff like that. And right now we have these three, but we separated local projects into a different category because we don't want public toilets to compete with other social innovations. So obviously we have a campaign. Budapest as a capital doesn't have many communication channels, so it's always a problem how we can communicate with the people. we have some sort of design and we have some services in public transportation and so on, but we have a limited access to communication channels. And submitting the ideas is happening on the website only. So you can only submit ideas digitally online. This approval and development of ideas, well, this is a hard work, actually. We have 700 ideas, and we have to send them to specific departments of the City Hall, where they examine them if they are feasible as they are, or they are feasible with a reduced content, or they are feasible with altered content, or they are not feasible at all. And then we, our department with 5 people, we have to rewrite all the ideas, and we have to do the altering of the content or merge ideas if it makes sense. So in the end, we have the group of ideas that are eligible for voting, and there's like 200 ideas in this year. So from 700, we have 200 ideas for voting. Around 400 is not feasible.
Matthias, can you
yes?
speed up a little bit?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Yes. So the dilemma, the challenge is it's a lot of work. When 700 ideas is just too much for the City Hall. So we are actually trying to figure out a system how to reduce the number of ideas. And this will be probably a pre-like or something like that for the next year. Because what happens if we get even more ideas? What if we have 2,000 ideas? We will not be able to cope with the quantity. Okay, so just a few words. We used to have the Citizens Assembly to reduce the number of ideas for voting. It was 60 people from a call. I don't want to tell you the details because there's no time for that. It was very enjoyable. People loved it. Everybody loved it, but it was a lot of work, and we didn't find it effective because people just threw out all the ideas from the suburbs, and we were left with all the ideas from downtown. So we thought that it's not very fair, and people can actually vote on more than 50 ideas. So voting, you can see a few pictures of the communication. Voting happens mainly online, but we provide some opportunities for offline voting. The city has a chain of libraries, so you can vote in libraries. Yeah, this is how you vote in libraries. And there are different campaigns, and we go to festivals sometimes. And then implementation, the challenge is that it's going quite slowly, which is kind of normal for a municipality, but it's not what people expect. So usually it takes 2 years, sometimes it's even 3 years. So altogether in 3 years, we had 51 ideas and 15 are completed and some more are close to completion. The implementation is done either by the municipality or sometimes by a contracted partner. We always make consultations before starting it, so we involve people in the idea of how to make it best. So I show you a few pictures on the consultations. It's sometimes on a location, on the street. Sometimes it's in a room, but it's more boring in a picture. And well, I guess you get the PowerPoint so you can read the ideas if you want to later. It's quite a nice variety of different projects. I show you a few pictures. Some of them are pretty basic infrastructure, like bicycle stands and wells. Some of them are innovative and funny, like street art. Yeah, like a legal street art wall. We have public toilets, of course. This is like a social institution for people with autism. We have quite a few bicycle lanes, free sport events, like animal therapy and elderly care centers. This is a repair cafe. And sometimes it's just a pedestrian crossing that people always wanted. So it's also a big dilemma that maybe pedestrian crossings and bicycle lanes should not be implemented in participatory budgeting. But right now, the city of Budapest is in a very tough financial situation. We actually don't really have money to develop. So basically, this is the only, well, I wouldn't say, but it's most of the budget for developing the city. So we cannot easily say that bicycle lanes are not eligible from now on. So this was it quite quickly, and you can have questions. Thanks for watching.
Just a word about Mátyás' position. So at the beginning, you heard that there is a two-tier government system in Budapest. So he works for the upper tier, for the capital city, and not the district level. So that's why you could see these limitations and diversity of the projects.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. We're kind of staying on our schedule as best we can now. Just to continue a bit with the comparison of Budapest with some other European capitals in terms of participatory budgeting, let's go with Sarah Toth, who's got a presentation on how Budapest compares with other European cities. Sarah, please.
Yes, thank you. I am also going to try and share my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we see it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to leave it like this because apparently the presentation mode does not work. Okay, so hi everyone, and thank you for having me. I'm Shada, and I'm also going to talk about participatory budgeting in Budapest, just from a different angle, from a different perspective. And before I get into it, I want to make a little disclaimer that I'm not an expert. I don't work with participatory budgeting. I did a city governance course at the City Hall of Budapest, and we had to do a final essay about a chosen topic, and I chose participatory budgeting in Budapest, and I wanted to compare it to other cities to evaluate the success of the process and to see where it could go in the future. So yeah, I hope that you find it interesting and useful. Just a few words about my motivation for choosing the topic. I wanted to see how successful the process is, because although it's still relatively young, as Maki has said, it has had 3 full cycles already, and that provides us with a pretty good basis to see what has gone right and what has gone wrong in the past and how it could be improved in the future. Some words about the methodology. I did some desk research, obviously, but I also tried to be on the field. So I went to a deliberation event in the last cycle, and I also did 2 interviews, one with the PB team of Budapest and one with one of the district PB teams. It can be confusing with the 2-tier government system. Another important aspect of the methodology was selecting the cities, and as it could be seen in the video that was shown at the beginning, there are thousands of processes. Just in Europe there are over 4,000, so I had to find a way to narrow it down, and I used the most similar systems design to choose the cities, which basically says that you should compare cases that are fairly similar to each other with only a few variable factors, so that you can assess the impact of those variables. And in this way, I thought that Madrid and Warsaw fit for a comparison, although I think Madrid could be disputed. But my reasoning behind it was that the Madrid process is very recognized in the world, and the platform where it works, it was recognized by the UN as an exemplary tool for citizen engagement. So I thought they could be a good point of reference for Budapest. And another important part of the methodology was also selecting the criteria with which I was going to compare the 3 cities to each other. And I basically just used the literature and chose what scholars have done before. So I chose participation, impact on budgetary decisions, and representativeness as my 3 main criteria. And in the following, I'm going to expand on these, share my results with you, and also, if I have time, show you my recommendations based on these results. Right. So starting off with participation, I included a table of the participation rates in the 3 cities. And as you can see, based on these rates, Budapest has been less successful than the other 2 cities. Although, yes, also what's interesting, I think, is that Warsaw has been considerably more successful than the other 2 cities. What's interesting, or where I think we should be careful, is participation rate in itself does not tell us much about the success of the process and about the quality of the ideas and the deliberation process. And this problem is very well illustrated in the case of Warsaw, where before 2018, the rules were considerably more lenient. They allowed for door-to-door signature collection, which meant that people could go up to anyone, share their ideas, and those people probably made their decisions not very well informed. So my conclusions that I reached here was that to increase participation, it is very necessary that we properly inform our citizens. What's also interesting is that even after 2018, as you can see, although participation has dropped, it remains still considerably higher than the other 2 cities. Sorry. And the reason behind this, according to the Warsaw team, is that they had a lot of financial and a lot of human resources at their hand. In Warsaw, there are 18 districts, and they each had their own PB teams that was supported by the Center for Social Communication. Sorry. The Participatory Budgeting Council, and also dedicated group of volunteers. In comparison, in Budapest, there are only, at least at the time of the interview, there were only 6 people working on PB. So you can see that they have much smaller capacities for citizen engagement. So here, adds to the conclusion that to increase participation, the allocation of more resources is necessary. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Hopefully I will be able to continue. Just give me a minute. Okay. The next criteria was impact on budgetary decisions, and here you can also see that there's a big difference between Budapest and the other 2 cities. And that the budget of the Budapest team has been much smaller than that of Madrid and Warsaw. Sorry. However, here we also have to be a little bit careful when we assess the impact of the budget itself. Sorry, I'm really sorry. Can I stop for a moment? I don't think I can say without losing my voice.
Just show your slides, and we can read and we'll draw sort of conclusions from that. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any words?
Let's move to the next slide, please.
Okay.
I thought I'm going to try and talk about this because I thought this was the most interesting part of the process. That the original goal of PB was redistributing wealth. And although we can't say that it's fully representative, what's more important is not total representativeness, but promoting equality and channeling money to poor neighborhoods and to groups, to more vulnerable groups. And in this way, although in terms of participation, in terms of budgetary impact, Budapest has been less successful than the other two cities, but in terms of supporting this original objective, Budapest has been more successful than the other two cities. Right, and this was my last slide with all the recommendations that I made.
So could you explain a little about this savings based?
Yeah, I'll try. It's a mechanism that's prevalent in Germany, where citizens decide about how the city is going to spend its how the city is going to save its money and not how it's going to spend it. So, for example, citizens have voted in Solingen, in a German city, that the city should spend less on celebrations during national holidays. And this way they can also have an impact on budgetary decisions, even though it's not about what the city is going to spend that money. But what's also interesting, I think, is that money can be then used to spend it on the ideas of people. So it goes both ways. And I think that's a really cool idea and something that could be used in Budapest as well. Although it's very...
Yes, that's interesting. I hadn't heard of that before, but it's sort of, it's budgeting in reverse. It's cutting the budget instead of increasing it. So interesting. Very good.
Yeah, politically, it can be risky, but yeah, I think that's also a very interesting mechanism.
Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your being able to get through this. I think we have your full paper, and it will be on the website for those who want to read in more detail your analysis and results, and we'll be able to make that available to them. All right.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry for being a little bit.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to turn now to more country-specific examples and situations in countries. And so we have a good variety here from Georgia, Bulgaria, and North Macedonia. So let's start with Georgi in Georgia. And this is an interesting one where they've done a survey assessment of 11 municipalities and found some interesting results as to how they have implemented the PB process in those municipalities. And particularly the sustainability of them, I think, is interesting. So is Georgi there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, good. Go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you. Let me share my presentation. Can you see it?
We see it, it's fine.
Okay. One second, just 1 second. So my name is George. We say Georgi, but it's the same. And I'm working for Georgian Development Platform. This is our non-government organization. And maybe you heard that we have quite tough times, non-government organizations in Georgia right now because of the agents law. And because of that, so many things are unclear right now. What will happen next, and if we are going to become agents of foreign influence, who is going to sign this? And so it is quite uneasy decision, and we hope that something changes. We hope that elections may change some situation here in Georgia, and we will be back on track. I mean, back to the EU integration. Sorry for this introduction, because I just wanted to describe the general picture, and let's come back to the presentation. So the research was done by our non-government organization, and it was financed, supported by USAID. And we've tried to, it doesn't change. Yeah. So the project, the aim of the project is to help to assist municipalities in planning and implementing the participatory budgeting. And the name of the USAID project is Local Self-Government Program, assisting us. So as for the research itself, it was the goals of the research were not very broad, and it was a qualitative research. We did not conduct any quantitative analysis. So we covered 11 municipalities, more active municipalities, I would say, and we have also conducted 110 in-depth interviews with different stakeholders, like municipal councils, city hall representatives, authors of projects, their supporters, representatives of NGO and mass media organizations, and other experts of the field. As for the results, we have quite interesting situation, and it was conducted in January, February of the current year. So let me say a few words about to describe the current status of the participatory budgeting in Georgia. So it is relatively new phenomenon. It was started in 2016 in Georgia, and because of this, citizen participation is quite limited and not as good as maybe in Poland or even Budapest. But the interest is quite high. And the regulatory framework we are having right now, on the one hand, we have code, we have local governance code, nationwide legislation, and it lets Article 85 of the self-governance code lets municipalities use additional forms of participation, for additional forms of citizens' participation, And this form of participation is not obligatory for municipalities in Georgia. Participatory budgeting is not obligatory at the moment by the law. And the government kind of supports participatory budgeting. It is also mentioned in decentralization strategy of Georgian government, and it has some support from the central government. So we have a situation where let's speak in USD, United States dollars. So budgets are limited, quite limited, and they mostly fall from $20,000 to $200,000 per municipality. But sometimes we have a few millions even. These are just a couple of cases nationwide. So few municipalities have adopted, and few municipalities follow the practice of participatory budgeting. Many tried, tens of municipalities tried, but they discontinued with the practice, unfortunately. So those 11 were selected under our research, those 11 municipalities, because they were more or less active and they continue to practice PB. So the process is quite standard. That was described by Budapest mayor's office representative. Yeah, the procedure is rather similar of the PB in Georgia. Generally, they do the similar stages per municipality. So there are various methods of campaigning. Municipalities use different approaches, from door-to-door campaigns to print information dissemination, and also popularization of the PB process via social media and local media means, volunteer organizations, municipal employees, and other different means of disseminating the information. So several municipalities have tried to make the process more inclusive and included young people, teenagers in the voting and even proposal writing process. Mostly electronic voting platforms prevail here in Georgia, but we have few municipalities where traditional voting took place. And it helped with groups like old people and other people with less skills to use digital platforms. Let me show you the map of Georgia, and the blue dots describe the cities and municipalities where the PB has had place, and you can count more than 20. We have 64 municipalities right now, and 1/3, a little bit more than 1/3, has practiced at some point the PB, but at the moment, as I told, a little more than 10 are continuing with this. As for the discoveries, it is, I have to admit that many municipalities consider PB as isolated project, and they don't put it into the systemic approach of participatory principles of local governance, unfortunately. And challenge is awareness. It is still big challenge among citizens about the current processes, and lack of trust because of this. And many of the citizens have no clue about the process, unfortunately, majority of the citizens. Significant challenge is availability of resources. It means financial resources as well as lack of capacity in municipalities and municipal staff. And also the bureaucratic problems and problems related with implementation of the projects on the field, they are quite important. So project selection and implementation are important barrier.
Excuse me, Gorgi, if you can wrap up in another minute or two, time constraints.
Okay, I will speed up. So let me move to the recommendations. But let me say that monitoring, evaluation, and learning is weakest point, unfortunately, in Georgia, and none of the municipalities does it properly, unfortunately, so far. So we kind of underlined the most important hurdles. These are low public awareness, and another hurdle is equal access, lack of equal access of participation for all citizens. We have some marginalized groups that cannot participate or have no information so far. We still need traditional platforms for traditional voting. So delays related to bureaucratic obstacles, insufficient funds, cost estimates, inaccurate cost estimates, and tender failures are a big problem. And we have no monitoring and evaluation, as I told before. Sustainability is a great problem, unfortunately, because most of the practices, most of the municipalities were supported by donors. And after the donors stopped their support, the municipalities discontinued practicing PB, unfortunately. And managing public expectations is also a problem, because they have no, in many cases, municipalities have no communication strategy, and it is not sustainable, unfortunately. So basically, this is what I wanted to say. The recommendations actually describe whatever I have said before. And let me just add that the process, the participatory budgeting is quite popular among those who knows it and who has heard about it. And people are very enthusiastic. But unfortunately, the reach is not high, and we still need to work on this a lot. Basically, this is all I wanted to say for this moment, and thank you for your attention. And if there are some questions and some more details need to be clarified, I'm ready to answer. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Gorgi. I think that's given us a good overview of let's say, where the situation is a bit more difficult than what we've seen with the war, with the Polish and Hungarian examples. So makes a good comparison. We'll move now to two final presentations, one Bulgaria and North Macedonia, and they are sort of variations of participatory budgeting in a different model. So let's begin with Amelia on how this forums and so forth work in Bulgaria. Is
Okay.
Amelia there? Ah,
Hello.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'll try to share my presentation. Oh, sorry. No.
Marina might help you. So, Marina, could you upload it?
Just a second. I cannot open it properly.
Okay, let's do this. Marina, work with Amelia to get this, and let's go to Christina, North Macedonia, and then we'll come back to Amelia once we get the technical problems worked out. So can we do that now, Christina?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience, and I hope it is worth your time. I will also attempt to share a document. So, okay, now I understand what I have to do. I just want to say that you're seeing the right. You're seeing the
Yes, we see it.
presentation. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, good.
Let's just put it on full screen. And I just wanted to say that to our colleague Emilia that what I'm going to share is basically a concept that was imported to us from Bulgaria. So we have something in common there, and also to kind of say my support to the colleague from Georgia, and that we hope that these kind of changes that are happening in your country don't come over, kind of seep over to our part of the world. To start the presentation, I'm going to talk about specific tool for participatory decision making and participatory budgeting in that context. The community forums. My name is Kristina Hadjivasileva. I come from North Macedonia from a consulting company called Strategic Development Consulting. And this is a women-owned company, women-managed, that exists in the market for now 16 years. We work on development projects in 3-4 main focus areas, which are good governance, focusing on decentralization, local economic development, gender equality, and monitoring and evaluation. I will tell you more about this concept this tool that we are promoting, which is called the community forums. This is like a general name, and there are variations of this tool called project forum, budget forum. So I will share how this tool was used in Macedonia and still is being used. So first, the citizen participation, how we define it as inclusion of citizens, residents of a community in the process of decision making that directly or indirectly affect their life in the community. I just want to say that all the photographs that you see here are from forums that have been taking place in Macedonia, in North Macedonia, in the past 16 years. So this is a photograph from Ilinden, a municipality which is close to the capital of Skopje, just on the outskirts of Skopje. And now the next one is a photo from a forum in Demirkapia, which is a municipality in the south part of Macedonia. So what is the forum? It's basically a tool for inclusion of citizens in decision-making process at local level. And it's a very structured process, a structured platform to discuss community problems and to attempt, of course, to solve them. Why we promote this tool? Because we see it as a tool that is enabling a more comprehensive citizen participation. And we see it as a tool that develops a more, let's say, accountable local self-government and one that is more participative. Of course, in order to have, in general, to have a participatory decision making, but also specifically to use also the community forum as a tool, you need to have some preconditions. And the two, let's say, most important are to have a local government that is open to this type of governance, of consultation and dialogue with the citizens, and also to have active citizens, those who are ready to devote time and effort to cooperate with the municipalities and to provide their ideas and proposals. The forum, as I said, it's a community forum, has several versions. The oldest one that we started in 2006-07 in North Macedonia was the project forum. And this is basically when citizens come together to define priorities between several main, let's say, topics of larger areas of problems. And then through this process of the forum, they identify these, they select one specific topic. For example, it can be environment, or it can be tourism, or it can be, I don't know, just generally infrastructure. And then within this topic, they define the problems and try to also define solutions for these problems and in a way fight for these solutions to be financed by the municipality. So the results of the project forum are basically a number of projects and recommendations that contribute to the development of the community as a whole. A specific type of project forum is the regional forum, which is basically the same thing, just done on a regional level. In Macedonia, there are 8 statistical regions, administrative, like statistical regions. And so through the regional forums, basically all the municipalities within that region, usually 9, let's say, approximately 9, on average 9 municipalities, come together to discuss some common problems in a more, let's say, so these are issues that really pertain to the whole region. And it's also, the result is also a number of projects that are, let's say, relevant for the citizens in that region. And this is usually solutions that are, let's say, on a higher level, dealing with waste collection, communication between the municipalities, some social services, etc. And then we have the budget forum, and I think this is one of the most, let's say, sustainable forms of forum, because it's pertains to the creation of the budget of the municipality for the following year. So it's basically how to create the budget of the municipal budget jointly with the citizens. And the result of the forum is the adopted budget done in consultation with the citizens. The forum process is a lengthy process. It lasts about 18 months, but we see it, especially in the context of the budget forum, we see it as basically this continuous process of including citizens in budget planning and budget execution. It has 6 forum sessions. Some of the municipalities that are implementing it now have shortened the process, so there is a variation, so they do it in 3 or 4 let's say, forum sessions. But originally, how we started was with 6, and this is a process that through these 6 forum processes, forum gatherings, we see that it's like easiest way to go through the whole process in a more, let's say, detailed way, rather than put things together in 2 or 3 forum sessions. But it also depends on the municipality, how large it is, how big it is, how much the budget is, because if it's a small rural municipality, maybe you can even do the process in three forum sessions. So it has, as I said, for the first 5 sessions are usually the first session is when I'm talking about now the budget forum, is discussing the strategy, the strategic plan of the municipality, the budget, what was spent until that period of time, what remains to be spent, what are the let's say strategic goals of the municipality for the following budget year. And when I say this, when I'm talking about this process, this is in line with the budget. The budget process, how it is envisaged and prescribed by the state, by the legislation. So usually in Macedonia, the budgeting process is more intensive in the periods from September to December in the year, because it's the budget is the budget year is equal to the calendar year. I'm sorry. So during this process of September to December, we have the 5 sessions. Excuse me. And then we have the follow-up session, which happens June or September the following year. So where there is a presentation of what has been implemented from what originally was incorporated into the budget. So the result is basically adopted budget. This is what the forum looks like. When this is what the tables that you saw in the photos are basically this kind of these are the tables here that you see, and it's they basically reflect the programs in the competences of the local government. So it's health, sports, culture, so all the competences that the municipality has. These are the working tables at which the citizens sit when they come to the forum and discuss and propose ideas and solutions within these topics based on the tables on which they sit. The process is led by, as I said, it's a structured process. So somebody is facilitating it, moderating it, and it's a moderator and a co-moderator. And we have more than 30 certified moderators in the country, certified by the Association of Municipalities in Macedonia, ZELS, and I see Rubin is here. He's one of the certified moderators. He's listening to us today. Of course, there is the operative group, who is basically a group of people from the municipalities, from the municipal administration, together with some people from externally outside of the municipality, who basically do the logistics of the forum, who are responsible to logistically manage the forum, while the moderator and the co-moderator are leading the process. And as you can see, there is a separate table for the municipality. So the municipal administration and the mayor sit on a separate table, equally together with all the citizens. And also the municipal council representatives are on this table, or they can even have a separate table if they choose. In some municipalities, they have separate tables. In some municipalities, they don't even have a table. They sit according to their interest on the other tables and discuss based on the competences of the topic on each of the table. And of course, there is always media who is invited to be present and to share what is happening at the forums. At each of these 5
Amelia,
forums.
about 5 more minutes, so we need to wrap up. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So yes, I'm just going to say that this for the first forum session of as I said, of the budget forum is about the strategic priorities of the municipality and how the budget was utilized in the past 3 years. The second forum session discusses the revenues. So what are the revenues of the municipality and how they can be increased if there is a proposal from the citizens. And we've had some proposals, even though it sounded a bit challenging for us at the beginning, but we've had like setting up a paid parking and etc. And then the third and fourth session are about the revenues, how they should be allocated. And this is where most of the, let's say, input from the citizens comes, because they discuss their the problems and the projects and the ideas that they want to come into to enter the budget. And what is interesting is that because when they start discussing the expenditures, the municipality, they do it on already some kind of initial proposal from the municipality. Then we tell them, if there is something that you want to put in the budget, please tell us what you will take out from this proposed initial draft budget, so that we cannot just add on to it. So it's not a wish list, but it's really within the allowed or what is not allowed, but what is the real budget possibility of the municipality. So this is always ends up in very interesting debates and discussions. And I mentioned about the follow-up session, that it's basically an introduction into the new process of creating the new budget for the next year. So these are some of the results, as you can see. So it's basically it's the priorities and needs of the citizens are identified through this forum process. The proposals are developed, they are included in the budget or not included in the budget, but with a specific, let's say, justification of why they are not. And there is also certain recommendations given to the municipality, especially about issues that are not under the competence of the municipality, but are relevant for the citizens in that community. And you can see here photos of some of the interventions that have taken place as a result of the forums, where ideas and issues and interventions proposed by the citizens have been incorporated and have been realized. So this is the municipality of Makedonski Brod. The central part of the town has been revitalized, and you can see here it's all different ideas, from buying vehicles for waste to cleaning the canals, for watering the land, to kindergartens, to many other issues. So how do we ensure the sustainability of this tool? This tool has been incorporated into the statutes of the municipalities as a tool which the municipality will use for participatory decision making. So it's, let's say, a legal obligation in a way for them. And 51 of the existing 81 municipalities have already incorporated this form in the statute. I think maybe the number has even gone higher. I'm not sure now. Maybe it's come up to 60. We already have at least 60 municipalities who have gone to the forum process at least once, so they know how to do it. So there is the capacity in the local administration, and there is a manual for conducting forums in 11 steps, which they can use to kind of utilize it while they are implementing the forum. And just one more minute to say about there is still, despite all the let's say efforts to make it sustainable, there are still challenges in terms of the time and the funding that is necessary for this process, because it takes a lot of effort on the side of the municipality and also on the side of the citizens. It also requires a more strategic approach to budgeting from the side of the municipality, which is not always the case in our country. And it also depends a lot on the trust. It helps build trust, but it also requires at least some initial trust at the beginning to start the process. And of course, as a result of this, and let's say like prior to these challenges are the issues of mobilization of citizens, of how to structure the discussions, of this continuous presence of citizens, to be able to prioritize, because on the 5th session, the citizens, let's say, prioritize which ideas or projects they want to have for sure in the budget, like to really not be taken out of the budget, but to really be part of the budget. And this is also can be a challenge sometimes. So this was very, very, very briefly. I'm not going to go into more details. It's just that one of the ways that we are basically selling this to the mayors, and I think this was mentioned in the professors from Poland presentation, is that it basically helps win elections, and listening to the citizens not only improves quality of lives and not only allows different ideas and creativity to come up, but also it can help them win elections. Thank you. This was as fast as I could do it.
Okay, thank you. It's much appreciated. It's really quite interesting how formalized and structured the process is that you go through, as sort of opposed to the others, which is a bit more, let's say, less formal and more kind of online processing kind of thing. So it's good to see that difference. Okay, let's go now to the let's see, the Bulgaria example. Amelia, unfortunately got about 15 minutes, so you'll have to be pretty fast.
I'll try to be short. It's not for sure, but yes. Okay, thank you. And excuse my technical incompetency because I tried really to open my presentation, but I didn't find my file on the screen. So I will not show the exact participatory budgeting in Bulgaria. I will show you our personal experience, the experience of my organization, which is called Agora Platform. Working with 10 Bulgarian municipalities in the process of establishment and functioning of municipal funds in support of community initiatives. It's much closer to what Adam said at the beginning. It's not really a process of participatory budgeting. It's a process of financially supporting the community initiatives and implementation of these initiatives directly by the community organizations. So first, we work with 10 Bulgarian municipalities, which are different in size, in composition of the population, geographical location, and different administrative, financial, economic, and social indicators. Although Agora Platform is located in Sofia, we prefer to work in the countryside, and these municipalities shows that the model of municipal funds is universal because it is applied to bigger municipalities and very small municipalities. So that was our search of sustainable local resources for local initiative support. Actually, we work for a long time in activating local communities, trying to pushing them to identify their own problems and finding solutions with the participation of the community themselves. So identifying local problems and solutions, which we had to find sustainable local resources to enable these initiatives to be real. And of course, the sustainable local resources are in the municipal budget. So I will show our experience as a specific approach of budgeting with citizen participation, which is not in the definition of this. Next slide. I will briefly outline the Bulgarian local government system. Bulgaria is divided into administratively and territorially into 28 regions and 265 municipalities, and each region is composed of a different number of municipalities. Some of the regions that we work with, for example, Gabrovo region, where 4 municipalities, or Montana region with 11. And each of the municipality has one or more neighboring settlements. That means small towns or villages which are located on the territory of the municipality, which are administratively divided into town halls, or we call that kmetstva. And they are sub-municipal legal administrative structures representing local communities. And developing the idea of municipal funds, we try to reach to each community groups at the municipal territory, including the smallest villages, the neighborhood communities, and all different kinds of organizations on the territory of the municipality. Next slide, please. Yes, and I will try to outline the general framework of the municipal funds. Of course, they are established on the municipal budget with the decision of the municipal councils, and they are governed by regulations adopted by the municipal councils. That gives them legality. And because the sustainability was one of the issues mentioned by previous presenters, I can say that we can see the municipal funds as sustainable local structures. They are based on the municipal budget, and their funds are planned every calendar year, including some budget line in the municipal budget for every calendar year. Of course, another feature of the municipal funds is their relevance. They correspond to specific public needs and the expectations through the prioritized funding sessions supporting community initiatives. Another characteristic of the municipal funds is the dialogue and partnership with local community organizations, and of course the effectiveness. The supported local initiatives solve specific community problems in a participatory manner. Next slide. I will focus on the institutional and financial characteristics of the municipal funds, starting with the institutional features, which gives the municipal funds the sustainability that is the real issue of this experience. Municipal funds are created and managed within the established administrative municipal practices as per the adopted regulations, as I mentioned before, and they are specific for each municipality. Actually, we provided each municipality with a sample regulation, which was adopted and according to the specifics of each municipality, its previous experience, their characteristic, potential for development, and so on. Municipal funds support local initiatives developed by the local organizations or the organizations of local communities. That much specific bottom-up needs identified by the communities themselves and their organizations. Actually, we used some of the forum discussions in this identification, different kind of community discussions in identifying the local problems and their solution with the participation of the communities themselves. Local organizations apply with written proposals for financing their initiatives on a competitive basis at the announced fund sessions. After approval, they sign contracts with the municipality and donors, if any. Grants are transferred to the contractor's bank account and are spent in compliance with the approved rules for reporting, accountability, effectiveness, and efficiency. Local initiatives are implemented on public municipal property only. Some of them are focused on the urban infrastructure, some of them not, but that is obligatory, and all they are of public benefit. Administrative capacity of the municipal administration is very important because they have to manage the funds, and it's a real problem, especially in the smaller municipalities, because they have to follow the procedures, the regulations, they have to control the costs, to monitor the results, and so on. And another very important issue is the capacity of the local organization. It's a real challenge, especially in smaller municipalities and when the initiatives come from small villages, because the local people, they are not experienced in making proposals, in writing project proposals, but we work intensively on that, trying to teach people to be more focused on the regulations and requirements. Next slide, please.
Okay, Amelia, please, about 5 or 6 more minutes if we can get through.
Okay, I'll try. Yes. Okay. In terms of financial characteristics of the funds, the main source of municipal funds are funds specifically allocated in the municipal budget structure. And municipal funds are financed from municipalities' own financial resources, local tax of buildings, vehicles, sales of municipal property. That gives the sustainability of funds. The amount of the funds is approved by the municipal council within the municipal budget and is determined and provided for each calendar year. The unrealized funds provided by the municipal budget are not transferred to the next calendar year, as they are calculated again in the municipal budget for the next year. And one of the ideas is a donation from local donors and partners to be attracted additionally, that could go directly to the initiatives or to the bank account to the municipality to be managed according to the regulations of the funds, but of the budget of the initiatives is included. Next slide. Okay, I have already mentioned about the steps. This is just to present the different steps, the establishment and functioning of the municipal funds go through. The establishment I have already mentioned is as a result of the decision of municipal council and adopted regulations. The municipal funds approve the funds from the municipal budget for each calendar year, and this financial support goes through sessions for financing the local initiatives, which are publicly opened with right instructions and requirements. After the submission of community projects, they are assessed, and the selection of local initiatives. After the selection of local initiatives, a contract between the municipality and the local organizations are signed, and the local organizations receive financing. They dispose with the public funds directly for the implementation of their initiatives. Next slide. Here, who is in charge? I have already mentioned about the role of the municipality, but here what is new is the role of the civil society sector at the municipal level. In fact, the final decision of selection of initiatives of the local community organizations is of the establishment from the civil society sector locally. It could be public or community council, it could be advisory board, it could be board of trustees, but they have the final decision who will be financed from the municipal fund. The role of the mayor is just to sign the contract. He doesn't have the final decision in any way. And who is it for? Who can benefit from the funds? of course, local NGOs working in public benefit, traditional for Bulgaria community cultural centers. They are named Читалище. They are one of the most popular applicants in the fund sections. Association of homeowners, they try to renovate the space between the blocks of flats and make the environment better. Municipal cultural establishments like local libraries, museums, galleries, or youth centers. And what is new, we developed a procedure for financing informal civic unions, and that was really effective in this way. So
Okay.
next slide. Okay,
Can you
I
come
just
to a conclusion very quickly? Thank you.
yes, let's go through that. I'll just show you the another one, the next one, and the next one. Yeah, no, previous. This we developed 4 different models of municipal funds. The first is directly administered by a municipal administration. There is a variation of outsourcing the administration of external local administrator, which is not new. The new is that we tried to upgrade the public forum process that Christina mentioned before. She presented it in her presentation, and we tried to upgrade this public forum process with the municipal fund, and the forum was obliged to take the decision who and on what criteria and indicators to be financed by the municipal fund. Unfortunately, this attempt failed. And I'm sure that that was the most democratic way of participatory budgeting in our case, but that was too complicated. And after the local elections, after the change of local administration, this model didn't survive. So it's my negative experience in this field. And the next slide, just to show you the facts and figures of our experience working with the 10 municipalities. That is the 2 years experience. Actually, I have already mentioned that the municipal funds are sustainable. And during these 2 years of financing, we supported 101 local initiatives. I'm talking about these 10 municipalities. They attracted 726 volunteers who worked out over 7,000 hours of voluntary work. And these 100 initiatives attracted 62 donors. The total amount of these 10 funds is not big. It is about 300,000 Bulgarian leva, which is approximately 150,000 euros. And you can see here, half of them are provided directly by the municipal budget. We supported them with the project seed fund, approximately 100,000 level, and the contribution from local sources is about 50,000 level, which is approximately 26,000 euros. It is not a big amount, but yes, you can see the average budget of one local initiative varies. It is approximately 3,000 Bulgarian level, which is not big. But the big advantage is that the communities participate. All the labor is volunteer. There is not money for administrative expenses of the initiatives. It is between 3 to 4 months duration of initiative. Some of the initiatives support creation and renovation of children playgrounds, village festivals, artistic layout of bus stops, benches and gardens in the interblock space, restoration of parks. We have improvement of cultural infrastructure and requisites of cultural centers. Some initiatives support the students with educational deficits. So it is absolutely based on the community needs, the needs of different community groups. I'm not going to show you the benefits of the municipality and the communities you mentioned in your presentations before, and there are some similarities. But at the end, the last slide, you can see three links. We developed short videos showing our experience with the 10 municipalities, how the municipal funds operate locally, and what kind of initiatives that they support. Thank you.
Okay, Amelia, thank you very much for an interesting presentation, sort of a new model of how to involve citizens and budgeting. I appreciate everyone's patience in staying with us. I just wanted to bring one last presentation. We had a person from Poland, which has done a good bit of work, Poland, in terms of green budgeting. And green budgeting is sort of becoming the new approach, new method. So Marina, if you could cue up the Polish presentation. This was only about 10 or 15 minutes, so hang with us, and I think you'll find this an interesting approach.
From Faculty of Economics and Management from Opole University of Technology in Poland. I want to say thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to present my presentation, and the topic of the presentation is Green Participatory Budgeting in Poland, a New Trend. The development of cities is determined by many factors, such as economic, legal, sociological, political and environmental, etc. High quality of life in cities requires making decisions for the benefit of the environmental quality, such as urban climate improvement, smoke reduction, car traffic reduction, expansion of urban green areas, walking and recreational spaces. Regardless of the size of cities, their developmental issues require the involvement of various stakeholders, including competent authorities, inhabitants, entrepreneurs, or non-governmental organizations. The discussion over public management involves using the participative management model. It is referred to as the interaction between the self-government administration and the community by using consulting procedures and involving all stakeholders in the decision-making process. Inhabitant participation is the foundation of a democratic state. One manifestation of city co-management is the use of the participatory budget tool, which is known also as civic budget. The inhabitants declare the projects they deem necessary and then vote to decide whether to use public funds to implement them. In Poland, the participatory budget does not have a long history, as the first budget of this kind was introduced in Sopot in 2011. However, it is becoming more popular as a tool for activating and mobilizing urban communities. We could enumerate city, rural, and regional participatory budgets in Poland. In accordance with Article 5A, Section 5 of the Act of Municipal Self-Government, in municipalities that are cities with county rights, the creation of a participatory budget is obligatory, and its amount is at least 0.5% of the municipality's expenditure. This means that the participatory budget is mandatory for 66 cities in Poland and treated as a special form of social consultant. Currently, 161 cities in Poland, this is 86% of cities, implement a participatory budget. In terms of environmental challenges, the local level, I mean cities, play a prominent role in the fight for clean air and implementation of climate change adaptation activities. Inhabitants displeased with the urban politics often decide to implement specific activities and projects favorable for the environment and people. Many initiatives are aimed at making cities more green. It also turns out that the chance to implement green projects increase in cities where self-government units provided support in preparing project applications for the civic budget, as in the case of the Krakow in Green Initiative, and the fact that every fifth project concerned the urban greenery in the 2017 edition in Krakow. The participatory budget brings many benefits for the inhabitants, for example, urban space arrangement and development, enriched infrastructure, small architecture, etc. There are also less visible but no less important benefits, like increasing their sense of responsibility for the city, inhabitant activation of the sense of improving the quality of life through providing the ability to take walks or other everyday activities in a friendly environment, air pollution reduction through green areas expansion or more sustainable transport, and many others. The aim of the study is to analyze the phenomenon of civic participation and the use of participatory budgets, especially green, as a tool of co-governance in the context of environmental issues and urban development. A desk research analysis of national and international literature data was conducted. The criteria of the literature used in the study was research topic focused on cities and environmental context. The statistical data was obtained from reports of the Institute of Urban and Regional Development, the data from 2020 to 2022, an institution dealing in urban development, and from the selected cities' websites. The research hypothesis was defined. The green civic budget is an increasingly popular form of participation used by city inhabitants. An analysis conducted for the 5 biggest cities in Poland, Warsaw, Kraków, Łódź, Wrocław, Poznań, demonstrated that voting in the civic budgets declined systematically in 2014 till 2018. In 2020, there was an increase in interest in voting on the participatory budget, for example in Łódź and in Wrocław, also in Poznań in 2021. This is the result of COVID-19 pandemic and shifting many activities into internet. In 2022, the number of successful projects in urban civic budgets in Poland was 3,663. The Institute for Urban and Regional Development that conducted this analysis has divided the successful projects into 13 categories, such as lectures, events, actions, then urban furniture, then physical activity infrastructure, then greenery, then communication routes, then small architecture, then buildings, etc. The successful projects could have concerned various categories, therefore the information in the data does not add up to 100%. But what is worth emphasizing is the fact that the green category took 4th place in terms of popularity of selected projects with a result of 18.44%. In 2021 and 2020, the green category took 5th place. So the green category became more attractive to residents. This table presents the number of projects in the green category. However, this category does not exhaust all projects that could be described as environmental. The data was presented for 2020, 2021, and 2022 for comparison purposes. The overall number of projects in green category in 2020 2022, it was 673. In 2021, 700. In 2020, 575. The projects most implemented, preferable in this field, were classified to the following categories like trees, bushes, greenery, flowers and decorative plants, and lawns. Less numerous projects concerned like green roofs and walls, rain gardens, cleaning, and other greenery types. This type of activities are planned not only in green areas, but also in streets and squares where it is also necessary to remove concrete surfaces. On the next two slides, you can see the effect of the so-called concreteosis in Poland, where squares with a lot of greenery were cut down and lined with concrete. This is a problem of many Polish cities, regardless of their size. In this photo, there is the city of Leżajsk, which has approximately 14,000 inhabitants. And on the top, you can see Leżajsk after revitalization in 2022. So here you can see only concrete. And on the bottom, you can see city Leżajsk before revitalization. At this slide, you can see the cities of Bartoszyce with 20,000 inhabitants, and on the left side, you can see Bartoszyce before revitalization, and on the right side, you can see Bartoszyce after revitalization in 2013. Some residents joined the fight against the so-called concreteosis of Polish cities. As a result, the projects included activities involving the removal of some of the existing concrete surfaces under the slogan of fighting concrete. The scale of this type of activities is not very large, but this is a good start. Most of these activities of such projects are concentrated in a few large cities, mainly in Warsaw, Gdynia, Kraków and Katowice. However, this shows a slow change in the way of thinking of residents of large cities, where the participatory budget is also an opportunity to transform the city into greener and more attractive places to live. In smaller centers, investments in greenery also appear, but they are more often one of many projects' elements, a kind of addition. As you can see, there is a great need to submit green projects as part of citizen budgets. In 2023, just before the end of the functioning of the previous government, an amendment to the Environmental Protection Law was submitted to the Polish Parliament, which assumed that in the civic budgets of municipalities, municipal managers should allocate a separate pool of money for projects related to the protection of the urban natural environment in order to increase the level of greening cities and water retention. The proposal met with resistance from the city authorities because, in their opinion, it violated their freedom to decide what the funds from the civic budgets were to be spent on. The debate on this topic lasted several months, and on February 2024, the proposal for these changes was withdrawn by the applicants. But there are cities that have already established green citizen budgets before attempting to change the regulations. The pioneer is Lublin, which already in 2016 created a green budget. Every year, some amount of money, roughly about 2 million zloty, is allocated for the implementation of the green budget. The effects include planting 280 trees, planting over 24,000 shrubs and 5,000 perennials. According to the city authorities, interest in the green budget is growing. Lublin was followed by cities such as Wrocław and Białystok. From 2020, the green participatory budget is also implemented, among others, in Gdańsk, Szczecin, Tomaszów Mazowiecki, and Katowice. The photo shows the process of creating a rain garden in Lublin as a project in participatory budget. Here is the implementation of a green project in the form of a pocket garden in Gdańsk. And here is the city garden in Katowice. Negative effects of climate change are becoming increasingly noticeable. There is an intensification of violent weather phenomena that takes on the nature of long-term temperature anomalies, water availability issues, high temperatures caused by the heat output of buildings, or weak green and blue infrastructure. The implementation of environmental projects that would improve quality of life and make it possible to stay in green areas that are unrestricted by various regulations on using protective masks and social distance are a perfect fit for the civic budgets concepts. Civic budgets can be a great citizen participation tools, provided that they are used to improve the inhabitants' quality of life and their involvement in the co-determination of the city's future. Hypotheses can be verified positively because although the number of projects in the participatory budget is increasing, on the one hand, these projects are larger than previous and cover a larger scope of activities, and on the other hand, the green area is more often represented in the projects. Environmental aspects in city development are becoming an increasingly pressing issue. Around the world, we have the so-called best practices on how to deal with environmental issues to make cities more sustainable and friendly to their inhabitants. And some cities went a step further and implemented the so-called green civic budgets. One example of this is Gdańsk, which announced the enrollment for such a budget for the fourth time. In 2023, covered 5 topics: vegetation, planting and care in urban greenery areas, new green areas, rain garden construction, restored and modernized development of existing green areas, and the 5th, green activities. It is necessary to focus on broader dissemination of the concept of creating green civic budgets that would serve to determine the inhabitants' needs concerning the broadly understood environmental protection and ecology. A good practice would also be establishment of workshops on the preparation of civic budget applications and even broader promotion and successful projects. The analysis of civic budgets is made difficult due to the lacking uniform method for their categorization and lacking database, including a database of archive data. The methodology of assessing the implementation of civic budgets is also created individually for each budget. A good recommendation would be to create a civic budget database featuring uniform categories. Once again, I want to say thank you very much for the invitation and the opportunity to present this work. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. I wanted to try to get this one in. Brigida could not be with us today due to her, another conference commitment, but she did provide this video that I thought was quite interesting about this trend towards green budgeting, which is expanding quite a bit in Europe from what I read, and EU funding for green budget projects. So I think many local governments ought to start looking at this area of green budgeting and how that could improve not only their local environment, but also the interest by citizens in these projects. So thank you to everyone who's been patient enough and stayed with us. As far as I know, all of this presentations and the videos and so forth will be put on the web page. We don't have much time for any questions or anything like that. I think our presenters are still with us. So if someone does want to raise a question, please do that now. You can raise your hand or put it in the chat. Does anyone have any comment or any kind of question to our presenters? That's good. So I think we answered every question. It was so comprehensive and so well presented that there's no questions to be asked. Okay. Well, again, thank you all very much for this presentations, particularly our presenters and all the participants. I believe our next webinar will be in September more on the fiscal performance measures and that sort of thing, some methodologies of that. So again, if anyone has anything they would like to say, please say now. Okay.
I mean, just a sentence about this whole venture, what you are participating. So it's a series of webinars, but the Local Public Service Alliance does other things as well, which can be useful for you. So just go to decentralization.net, and there we can upload any interesting publications, what you might have, or you can contribute to the blog. So, I mean, everything what in our region might be relevant. You can use this information tool to share what you have or what you want to learn, what you want the others to learn about. So I just want to encourage you to be a continuous member of this alliance. Thank you.